I'm here.
Marco is coming. Chiara
Yeah.
is coming. And
Yay!
Stephanie is
Hey.
back. Stephanie, I haven't seen you for ages. Oh, it's unbelievable. So wonderful. Welcome back, everyone. So I hope you got a fair amount of emoji coming your way. A couple of questions. I kind of like that some of the sessions really connected. I think that, Marco, you had some opinions about things that we could be doing when we're documenting our design decisions. Do you want to jump in and share your thoughts?
Like it was like super interesting to see Stephanie's talk because like it felt like a lot that like the problems she was talking about were kind of like what we already also face and try to solve with what we actually doing. Kind of like it's exactly this one thing, right? Like we need to go into code, so we work more closer to code, and like we can't think about pixel perfection. Yes, we can. It's all dynamic, right? So all of this is kind of like what I try to jump into, and like it felt like really like okay, hey, maybe we are onto something.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good
Yeah.
point. I think many questions that usually come up in conversations are actually very typical, whether it comes to storytelling on design systems or accessibility, UX, educated enterprise UX. Oh, it's so exciting every single time. And maybe I can jump to Chiara for a second first, because one of the things that often comes up in conversations about storytelling, I think, is this idea of how do I embed it seamlessly in my design process? Or to maybe rephrase it a little bit more, what is your design process like? So, because it seems like every time I see you producing, kind of not producing, that's a weird word, or designing anything, it seems like there is a theme. There is nothing is random. Nothing is just, because it is. There is always a reason, and very often there is this kind of storytelling arc. So maybe you could share a bit of insight about how do you actually design from start to the end?
From start to the end. Okay, well, of course, I don't start with once upon a time. That's something that it's important to say. When I think about storytelling, I usually think about who is the final user of the product. That's the first thing. That's where I start from. I always ask who is going to use this product, who is going to be the final user. So, and VITALY, we've done a lot of projects, and this is like the question they always come with: how we are going to approach these people, from where they come from, how you're going to promote it, so that I know from where the user journey is going to start for them. And this is the beginning of their story and my story too, because this is how everything starts. And then usually I try to do with connection. So this is how idea starts with when it comes to storytelling, like design connections of metaphors. I use a lot of metaphors because this is what storytelling is good at. You never see things the way they are. You usually try to simplify the concept so they become memorable for them. What we did, for example, again, with your course website, of course, it's not recipes for pizzas that everybody was looking for from Stephanie, but it's recipes to get better UX design and better in practicing UX patterns. So to discover all of them and find solutions for very common problem design decisions that we take in everyday life. So, but still, I wanted to create this kind of metaphor, and I carry this metaphor everywhere in the storytelling. And in this, again, the 3 act structure that we saw, this is what I usually use all the time. It's never changed. The formula is always the same, but then I decide when I want to place my elements, my plot, my action, where the buttons go, and things, little things like this, and then wrap up and make sure that it works. The article I wrote on Smashing Magazine, it says all of this process in very little details. So yeah, ideally that's what I do. Important thing, and just the last thing, just to make it short, is that I always consider in every process the beginning and end of the user journey of my story. So as every book that we read, we always have an end, or we have a sequel, and what the sequel could be. Like when we talk about your website, you already informed me there would be a sequel happening. So I had this on the back of my mind that we were going back to this design. So how the story is going to continue. And that's the magic storytelling, because story can be finished as a chapter, but you can open new chapter and still feeling all coming together again without feeling like interrupted or inconsistent. So I don't know if I answered your question because it's such a big
That's
question.
perfect. No,
It's
yes,
a lot of
indeed,
things.
indeed, this indeed. But no, it's a beautiful kind of segue for me, because actually talking about the next chapter, talking about the sequels. Sequels tend to be, well, in most movies, unfortunately, when I think about Rocky, sequels tend to get worse over time. But in fact, I am planning for a sequel, and it's kind of really nice, is a nice segue to another question I wanted to bring up, because I'm now exploring the world, the disastrous world of enterprise UX and everything around that, which is not necessarily fun at all times, but I know that Stephanie disagrees, and Stephanie loves enterprise UX and loves complex tables and massive filters and frustrating multi-page forms with 40 steps and stuff like that. Stephanie, why? What is beautiful in this world? Tell us.
I don't know. I think I like the challenge and the opportunities, but also like at the end of the day, you kind of really make a difference when because I work with internal users and we're making their life better and we're bringing some tools. And to give you an anecdote, so the old tool that we migrated to a new one, you couldn't have URLs. It was always the same URL. And like one of the unique selling point of my new tool in 2020 was, look, now you have a URL for everything and you can send those to your colleagues directly, which means you do not have to have a PDF export of the page or screenshot it, because
Or send
like
it to
before that they
someone.
had to screenshot it. And I like the idea of storytelling because we're actually using a lot of storytelling in enterprise, but not necessarily in the interface, but really like for trainings and change management and the way we are onboarding user, explaining new things. And I think this is also an interesting part of the thing is like I know a lot about cognitive biases and things like that. And I'm usually joking, like I have 90 problems, but marketing is not one of them. So I know a lot of designers in B2C area, they struggle, they fight with marketing all the time, and they get asked to do shady things like implementing very deceptive patterns, and they're like, yeah, but should we really manipulate users and all of that? And me, I don't really have that kind of problem, so I can use my background with cognitive biases for good. It's like using the bias to like understand them, understand how human behavior work in order to provide better training, provide better change management, things like that. So I kind of like that. I get to use all the tools that we have, but I'm kind of less constrained into like all the weird things that you sometimes have to do when you're doing like B2C. You have to sell and your KPI are based on growth and retention and sort of things like that. So it's for sure it's a challenge, but it's like I have my own problems in enterprise, but I kind of prefer them to having to fight with marketing and to want to kill a SEO person who wants to keyword stuff my footer.
Interesting. So that's probably another question I will have to bring up a little bit later. That sounds exciting. But I know another person who also happens to be working in a very complex world with very complex, maybe even enterprisey stakeholders in the magnificent world of multi-brand, multi-theme, multi-everything design systems. Isn't that right, Marco Christian? How do you feel there? Or maybe, okay, that's not a very practical question, I would say. But I should rather say, what are some of the lessons you learned there? Like, for example, it seems like when we met last time, that it took a while to get to the point where you feel like your design system is actually in control of the interfaces that are being produced, right? And I'm sure that given just a huge amount of stakeholders and everything that you have, and maybe you could speak about it for a moment, right? This is really difficult. Maybe you could tell us a little bit, how did you get there? I mean, obviously this is a very long story and we could get like a full storytelling embedding in here, but like maybe you could kind of share your experience in there.
Yeah, I mean, like we have the different aspects, like Stephanie said, like, right, we have marketing, we have enterprise, we have all these different parts. And in a multi-brand environment, you could be focused on only marketing, but not on enterprise. But actually, the system I'm working on at the moment is not only multi-brand, it's also multi-platform, multi-channel. It needs to cover enterprise, it needs to cover marketing. And the way there is challenging. Let's say like this, stakeholder management is crazy. Everybody has different requests. You kind of need to bring them on the board, and you kind of need to find the common ground that serves most of the people, that gives the best like kind of experience, with having the best coverage inside your corporate. For us, that's quite a big reach here. And one of the good things is that like things we explore in an enterprise environment can also be beneficial in a marketing environment, right? So we have the benefit of actually getting all the sides and all the insights from different angles and having product designers that work more on enterprise level designs. And some they are working more on marketing. With our system, we try to solve all of them. For example, one aspect that we actually have in our design system, which is one of these dials or knobs that I was talking about, is density. Density changes the complete interface. But including like principle like density is so complex because it affects everything: spacing, dimension, typography, all of it, like how everything works together with. And like suddenly you're just exploding in your like complexity. And then when you think about, okay, how does this work on mobile, on tablet, on desktop? But we're not done there. Like, how does it work on a smartwatch? How does it work in virtual reality? How does it work on a billboard? How does it work on a packaging? How does it work in no interface devices? And that's actually what we are challenged with. Like, so it's just like so much stuff. You need to find one solution that you say, okay, that's the one we're going to try. You're probably going to fail once or twice, but at some point you can have like version 1 that you can work with. And then you go and iterate on it. Just get your MVP out, test it, see what fails, back to the drawing board, over and over again. It's like you will fall, you will fail. It happens. Iterate, continue. That's it.
Right. I mean, actually, it's interesting maybe just to have this conversation, now that we have maybe another 5-10 minutes. General, I think there is a lot of a misconception maybe about the different way of how design works and what design even means in B2B and B2C, right? And especially when it comes to like as an enterprise, corporate environment and all. One of the jokes that a friend of mine has been always saying that there is no such thing as white space in B2B, just it doesn't exist. Like, why would you? You need everything at once all the time, and this is why, no white space. White space doesn't exist. In the same way, like marketing maybe doesn't exist in some ways, but sales does, and sales is very important potentially. So I'm wondering at this point, what would you say, like maybe for people who are right now in B2C, maybe exploring the world of B2B, or thinking about should we go there or not? There are many articles around saying, oh, B2B is a horror, it's a disaster, it's don't go there, don't go, just don't, designers don't go, right? Would you say that we should go there? Stephanie, what do you think?
It's where they need you the most, to be honest. And
Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
it's where you are needed the most, actually. Because like I work on some project where basically you cannot copy the competition because there's none. You kind of find some ideas based on like maybe copying other patterns. But like, okay, you've done an e-commerce, you've done another e-commerce website, you've done a third, it's always the same. For B2B, for me, it's like we need designers in there, we need information architecture. That's the hard sell because we are needed, but at the same time, a lot of B2B say we don't need designer, we just hire developers, we get a Bootstrap or React Material UI, and we're done. And then you end at a conference where someone asks you, how many models is this too much? Because I have a model inside a model inside a model. Like,
Okay, we are
so
not against models. We're not.
No, I'm not against models, but I had like amazing discussion where like you need a designer, you need information architecture for sure. You need help. You need to hire someone. So yeah, for me, we actually need it in B2B. I think more than B2B. Health tech also very very big area. Ed tech, education, software, a nightmare really. So there's a lot of areas I think where we can bring value, I think if you're a designer who's kind of bored of doing e-commerce and wondering what am I doing with my life, what's the purpose of selling yet another Apple Watch or something, it's like, yeah, come to B2B. It's not easy, but it's fun at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you also will get to work with very passionate and people who really care very often. So
Yeah.
it, of course, depends on the team, but that will often be the case. Chiara, have you been exploring or tapping into the world of horror and beautiful tables and filters and whatnot in some way in the B2B space? Or what would you say was one of the most challenging or complex projects that you've ever had an honor or pleasure to be designing or be involved with?
Because Stephanie was mentioning education, right now I'm working on educational platform, which we're trying to add some visual storytelling because it's a B2B, of course, but it's also used by students at the end of the journey. And so, yes, for sure, it's a university and other big companies using it, but educational programs using it. But eventually, we're trying a lot to add some storytelling in there too, where there wasn't. And it's not easy to break that wall because, again, Stephanie was saying, they need it, but sometimes they don't know how to handle us designers. They try to contain the excitement we have to bring all the knowledge. And because we see, I personally see how things could be better done, but the steps and the changes are very, very slow in this environment. That's what I saw. And so you move things. I've been working a lot in startup environment and things are very, very different. It's more like Marco Christian was saying, you put it out, doesn't work, come back again, reiterate, back again. And here it's more like, okay, let's move this little button here and now let's try that. And it's sometimes very tiring and sometimes very challenging. So I've been there, and we don't use too many glitters. We try to be very cautious how much design we put in every single piece of interface. That's what we do. That's my experience so far.
Yeah, we also have in a discussion in the chat, NT writing, well, we have designers team, but we have model inside a model and also a page inside a model. So I think models we will never forget our models. As we're also wrapping up at this point already, I just wanted to ask you two questions in one. That always gives a personal touch to everyone who is speaking. Tell us maybe, what are you going to work on tomorrow? Like just tomorrow. Like it can be very specific if you want to, or not specific at all. And also, what is something that you would love to work on one day? Maybe like a dream project that you have in mind that you always would love to work on. I'm pretty sure that Stephanie is going to mention one of the enterprise projects. Pretty sure that Marco Christian is going to probably mention something around design systems. And Chiara, well, I don't know, I'm very excited. Should we start with Marco?
Yeah, we can. Tomorrow's work is actually, again, presentation, but company internal. So it's like got to be 4 hours of presentation for me tomorrow. And
4 hours?
Yes, like it's recording and doing presentation and everything. So like the full-fledged production environment kind of. And about working on, like, I feel like what we are doing with the resolvers is a project I really love. I'm all over the place, right? I did so many things in my life that I'm getting bored at some point. So I always need to move on. Either it's like large format photography to whatever, to making things with 3D printers. It feels like what we are working on with the resolvers and node generation we're doing at the moment, it has so much potential to actually give a better experience to users just across everything, not only like on websites, but across every enterprise application that we have, across every device we use, across every application. It's not limited to what we do at the moment. We actually built this with a bigger picture in mind, where we also thinking about how can we actually build a AI model out of this that actually is for the kind of like tailored teaching material for kids, like where you actually deliver material in the form that kids actually want it. If they want to have it more like as videos presented or more like as audio presented. and like really tailor this. So we try to get all over the place with it, but we feel that we are on the right track, and it's just like really at the moment what I want to work on.
Well, I'm very hopeful to see the impact and the results of that, and also would encourage the wonderful community watching this now or later to participate and join and see where we can take it. Chiara, tomorrow and in the future.
Okay, well, tomorrow is going to be a working day. Today was a day off for me because I wanted to get ready for this and enjoyed it fully. But tomorrow is going to be a busy day with a lot of deadlines that have been postponing, and I hate it to be Friday because no. But definitely, I'm going to design some mobile views for a design that I made for a features page for this company I'm working with right now. And the future, I don't know. We don't know. For me, the future is Antwerp. My talk for sure, and
Short-term future, right?
yeah, it's a short-term future, and definitely I've been realizing by reading a lot of books, by preparing my domestica course, and by reading many books right now about storytelling, design fiction, and I've been thinking that there is a lack of understanding of how really, I mean, it's very much used in enterprise for leadership storytelling or for branding storytelling, but what about designers like user experience design? And I've been thinking I need to do something because I have a process in place. I know it works because I'm using it for myself, and needs to be somewhere rapid. I don't know if it has to be another course or a book or a set of cards. I really don't know. I'm just thinking that the world needs another approach to storytelling. If I can bring that, well, that would be great. That's a big project though, but yeah, it's the future. So
Well, I'm
we
very
have
looking
time.
forward to the future. And just like Stephanie, we all love cards. So let's do cards indeed. Stephanie, your final word of wisdom. What is in your calendar for tomorrow? And what is your big vision for the big project you're going to have one day?
So many things tomorrow. So apparently I'm supposed to prepare a talk for Antwerpen and a workshop.
I see. Okay,
So,
you too. So you're in the same camp
me
then.
too. No, I'm going to update this so I can change almost every single slide because this is who I am. I'm also supposed to. I would like to have some time to work on some Halloween stickers, but I don't know yet if I will have some time for that. So it would be nice to do a little bit of conference preparation to that tomorrow and some illustration and maybe printing some stickers. I have a conference at the end of the month in France, and I wanted to bring some accessibility stickers, so I might do some printing tomorrow as well. And for the future, I think I would like to do some service and process design, because I'm in a lot of situation where like I basically shout at people that you cannot solve business processes with a new UI. At some point, there's just like that much you can do. But if you are not going to rework the process, simplifying them, it's like I have a lot of interviews where the user are explaining to us that, yeah, actually it's the problem is the business. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to put that in a note, but there's nothing I can do about that at the moment. So yeah, I think I would like to go a little bit more at some point into services and reworking business processes. If we want to be very efficient with the interfaces, if we would need to see the whole picture and the whole process, but that's very, very challenging for sure.
Yeah,
But it would be interesting.
Yeah, so here we go, Stephanie. As always, redesigning the world yet again. Well, I'm very excited about this project too. Well, excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm very much looking forward to catching up with you later as well. And thank you for your wonderful insights and for being here today. Dear friends who are watching this now or later, feel free to, I don't know, to drop in random emoji, your favorite emoji. You probably have your favorite emoji as well. I have my favorite. My favorite emoji is a growing plant. I really like it so much. It's just the most beautiful emoji ever. and maybe doubling. So everyone, please send a wonderful round of emoji as clapping to our wonderful speakers, Marco, Stephanie, and Chiara. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.